Jiangning City, located in the northwest of Linhai City and Tianhai City, is a prosperous second-tier city. The Eclipse group took the stolen car and swayed forward from the border line all the way to the central area of Jiangning City. Jiangning Square, one of the most prosperous areas in the entire Jiangning City, is also a well-known commercial district. In the past, it was occupied by the largest mutant group in Jiangning City. But now, the streets where the Eclipse Moon members walked were littered with hundreds of corpses. The bright red blood dyed the entire street red, and then it quickly condensed into blood ice before it could flow. The witch, Mayumi Takeuchi, Feng Huangyuan, put his hands in the pockets of her gray suit vest and whistled leisurely while moving forward. We have to find a place with abundant supplies first. Rest here for a while, replenish supplies, and then continue to move inland. The next stop seems to be the city called Lingdu. Behind him on the right, Jinguji Seichiro, who had slicked back hair and gold-rimmed glasses, looked at him with a sullen look. Things won't go as smoothly as we expected. In the previous battle, it was obvious that the troops coming were not from the Jiangnan district headquarters, but from civilian organizations. After we wiped them all out, we sent a message, but we didn't get a response from the Jiangnan district. He exhaled a puff of white smoke, his eyes filled with annoyance. This shows that those guys are still determined to fight us to the end. Feng Huangin listened to Jinguji's complaints, but a light smile appeared on his lips. Jinguji Seichiro, the former stock trader, is a complete pessimist. Since the first day he met him, Jinguji always spread all kinds of negative news to Feng Huangin. However, it is also thanks to him that the Eclipse organization has developed to its current level. And in the Kanto region, it has escaped from the encirclement of the Izumo group time and time again. The pessimist Jinguji Seichiro is also a firm representative of the Landing faction. After the end of the world, he firmly believes that the Neon Islands will definitely be submerged in the Great Flood after the end of the world. If it were not for that, he, who is cautious by nature, would never agree to Feng Huangin Ren's crazy landing plan. Feng Huangin smiled and said, "Jinguji, don't always be so pessimistic. Now everything is under our control." He spread his arms and turned his back to everyone. "At most, we will have one more crusade. The Jiangnan region will fully understand how strong we are. They will give up the crusade against us. I believe there are many smart people among them who will understand this. After all, we are not the only enemy to them now," Phoenix Court said, narrowing his eyes. "Just like when we were in Kanto. As a Ronin organization, Eclipse Moon clashed with the most powerful organization in Kanto, Izumo. However, most of those who have mastered the power of Neon's top leaders are former officials. They always consider their own interests first before doing anything. The price they need to pay to eliminate Eclipse Moon is too heavy, which may greatly weaken their entire organization. In that case, it will give other forces an opportunity to replace them. Because of this, Izumo will let Eclipse Moon go." Jinguji looked disgusted. "Tsk, but this is not Neon. Do those people in Jiangnan district have the same brains as the top leaders in Izumo? How do you know?" Feng Huangyuan raised his eyebrows and said playfully, "Aren't all the guys like them the same in the world?" Everyone looked at the two bickering with a smile, and they were obviously used to such a daily routine. They stepped on the corpses of the Jiangning City organization and walked into this once prosperous street. Jinguji pushed his glasses. "So now, in order to prevent attacks from the Jiangnan district, it is necessary to carry out a thorough cleansing of this area." He raised his head, and a cold light like a venomous snake flashed in his eyes. "Don't leave a single person alive in the 5-kilometer area around Jiangning Square." A day passed quickly. Everyone returned to the combat center conference room. After a little preparation, they were going to the battlefield to fight against Eclipse. Zhang Yi and others came to the conference room, and Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li were sitting not far from them. After a while, Zhu Jing, Deng Shentong, and others also came here. But today, Zhu Zheng's face was much more serious than yesterday, which made Zhang Yi and others feel bad. Sure enough, after Zhu Zheng came to the office, he didn't ask everyone about their preparations first. Instead, he said to everyone very seriously, "Everyone, I have a very bad news to inform you here. Just this morning, Eclipse Moon has left Linhai City and arrived in Jiangning City next door." As soon as these words came out, someone slapped the table and stood up. "What?" Zhang Yi recognized that it was Wu Shifang, the leader of the mutant organization in Jiangning City. How is Jiangning City now? Wu Shifang was very worried, because his family and friends were all in Jiangning City. And according to the previous example of Linhai City, once Eclipse Moon arrived at a certain place, it would slaughter all the forces in that place. Zhu Zheng said to Wu Shifang, don't get excited yet. We have already notified the people in Jiangning City to hide. Don't conflict with Eclipse Moon. At present, they have occupied Jiangning Square, and the organizations in that area have been wiped out as expected." Wu Shifang took a deep breath and felt relieved. But it is also true that if his forces were attacked, they would definitely contact him. But even so, he couldn't rest assured, because as long as those fierce bandits stayed in Jiangning City for one day, his forces would be in danger for one day. Wu Shifang stared at Zhu Jing and said seriously, "Zhu Shuai, I want to go back first. Settle the internal affairs of my forces." Zhu Zheng did not speak. His secretary, Lan Xincheng, came over and said with a cold face, "Wu Shifang, what time do you think it is now? Can you do what you want? The most important thing for you now is to cooperate with the headquarters to complete the siege of Eclipse Moon." Wu Shifang was tangled. "But I'm worried about them." "Worrying is useless," Lan Xincheng scolded. "Do you think that you can destroy Eclipse Moon by your own strength?" Wu Shifang was speechless. It would be useless for him to go alone. Zhu Zheng's gentle voice came from the side. "Okay, Xincheng. He is also worried about his family and friends, which is understandable." Wu Shifang's heart warmed and his eyes looked at Zhu Zheng. "General Zhu." Zhu Zheng put his hands behind his back and said seriously, "You can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. Those people have just arrived in Jiangning City. There are not many of them. It is impossible for them to destroy the major organizations in Jiangning City in a short time. We will hold a combat meeting today and determine the action plan. Tomorrow morning we will act. As for the large and small forces in Jiangning City, we have already notified them. Let them hide as soon as possible and don't conflict with Eclipse Moon. You can rest assured about the safety issue." Wu Shifang felt relieved, nodded, and sat down. Zhu Zheng looked at everyone. The goal of these guys is very clear, that is, to move towards the Central Plains. So we must hurry up and kill them in the coastal area as soon as possible. We must not let these hateful Ronin advance a step. Then now, let's start the last combat meeting. Please ask the captains of the 3 teams to represent and talk about the results of your discussion." Zhu Zheng looked at Zhang Yi. "Zhang Yi, you will be the first to speak." Everyone's eyes shifted to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi coughed and stood up slowly. "Since you want me to say something, then I will say a few words." Zhang Yi briefly told everyone the results of the discussion of the 4 people yesterday. It was related to the success or failure of the operation, so he had almost nothing to hide, except his own ability. The most important thing, I think, is to thoroughly understand the abilities of all members of the Eclipse group. In particular, find a way to crack their intelligence acquisition channels. That's all I want to say, over. Zhang Yi sat down after he finished speaking. After he finished speaking, many people at the scene lowered their heads in thought, thinking about what Zhang Yi said. Even Deng Shentong held his chin with one hand. looking thoughtful. Zhu Zheng nodded to Zhang Yi in approval. Zhang Yi's analysis is correct. The most important thing in our war with Eclipse is intelligence. In this regard, we are not clear about the other party's intelligence sources at present, so we are slightly at a disadvantage. Zhu Zheng's voice suddenly became high-pitched. But in other aspects, we are in an absolute advantage. Whether it is the strength and number of mutants, or the logistical support for local operations. He crossed his hands and smiled confidently. The most important thing is the armed assistance of our region. Everyone couldn't help but look at Zhu Zheng. Are you going to use hot weapons for targeted strikes? Wu Shifang asked with a serious look on his face.